And welcome to the Nexus. Today we're doing issue 89 of our Tumbler build. Let's get going. Okay, this is the box that we've got. We've not actually got a lot in here, but we will be doing quite a bit. We're actually doing something for once. Now, before we get on to issue 89, I'm going to do my shout outs as always. Thank you so much for doing, for commenting, and obviously for me shouting out. So let's start off. So we've got Core Vinyl. Thank you for your message. Fair play to them for the replacement part, which is the windshield. We must be close to bringing it all together now. Yeah, hopefully. Dave McBuilds, once again, thank you, Dave, for commenting. Excellent build, Kev. It's nice to see they're rectifying the mistakes earlier than later. Yes, definitely, 100%. You don't want to be putting stuff together and then finding out that you need a replacement and having to take stuff apart. Is probably the worst thing to do. So it's great of them to give us the replacement. So brilliant. Another David here, 2111. Great build again, Kev, and a good explanation as always. Now let's see what a difference it makes to the working of the roof. 100%. Yeah, so I would imagine they've only cut it down like that because of the mechanism working. That's the only reason I can see why they did it. Mark Williams, great video, Kev. Piss take on what you pay for the bits, what you get. Yeah, well, we get that. We get that with it. Like you said, the method is in the madness. Yeah, there is always method in the madness. I've done these builds for nearly 10 years now. And though some things scratch your head, it actually always works out in the end. So there is always method in the madness. That's what I always say. Kenneth Williamson. Hi, I wish they could do a bit smaller and cheaper so people like me can afford it. I personally think that the price each week is manageable if you're doing it each week. You know, it's £10. You would spend, if you bought 2 coffees in, say, Costa or Starbucks, you'd spend that much already. So I know some people that buy 3 cups of coffee every day nearly from those places. So it sort of builds up. But it's the size and comparison. I mean, you can get a lot of smaller kits. You can get some plastic kits and stuff like that of the tumbler that are a lot smaller and probably cheaper as well. So it might be worth looking into that. But yeah. Paul Kane, once again, thanks for commenting, everyone. Hi, Kev. Have Hachette ever shared how many tumbler sets they will produce? Their website is currently showing out of stock. Yeah, quite a lot of issues. I've noticed this as well. I'll get onto this as well. I'll just read the rest of this out. I'm just wondering if the tumbler will be limited edition or they just simply keep making to meet demands. What is the typical Hachette strategy? Okay. It's mostly with all part works. So basically they release it as always. And then once you subscribe, what they do is they go by subscription numbers. Hachette's a little bit different because they offer the build on their web shop and in the newsagents, which no other company actually does. They never ever, none of these companies will ever release how many they've sold. And they will never know as well how many we actually build, because some people buy the parts but never actually build it. And some people cancel halfway through. And so the subscriber number changes all the time. So in regards to limited edition, unless it says limited edition and gives you a number, it never is. It never ever is. And also as well, if it was limited edition, they wouldn't re-release stuff, which they tend to do. Hachette a little bit different. They don't tend to re-release a lot, but it is, I would say, mass produced, if you know what I mean. It's not limited as in the such of there's only a few. Agora do that. Agora do have limited editions where they do like 500 worldwide, or in the case of their DB5 Gold, 7 worldwide. So you know that that's limited. They're not numbered. None of the parts are numbered. Nothing like that. So it's not limited edition. They just basically make to meet demand. Now, the issues that are out of stock at the moment, they normally do come back in stock. What tends to happen is they restock as they need to. And then what also happens as well, when they get to the end of this build, which they've done in the previous builds as well, when they get to the end of it, they normally do a massive restock on their web shop, just so you can grab bits that you've missed or you need doubles off or whatever, and then that is it. Normally about 6 months after it's finished, you struggle to get the parts for it as well. So that's normally their strategy, but these are not, none of these partworks are limited edition at all, and it is just made to meet demand. Most of us are subscribing, or most of us are getting it from the newsagents. The web shop is if parts are damaged and or you need extra parts or anything like that. That's what normally the web shop is supposed to be used for, but you can actually buy issues from there. You can actually just buy issues from there instead of subscribing, or get it from the newsagent. You can buy them from there. But they do have restocks. They do go through this phase of restocking. So my advice, if you're looking for spare issues that are not listed, keep checking. And it's not sort of like a specific day, so I'll check every day to make sure you can get your issues if you're missing any. But they do tend to do a restock at the end. Thank you, Paul, for that. Interesting, the original TV ad for the Tumbler reveals it's a different windshield outer profile than we have received in earlier issue. The profile is just visible during the roof opening sequence. Yeah, you can check this out on YouTube, the TV ad for the original. In regards to the original and to the ones that you see pictures of, the full built, now that is the prototype, which is all plastic. When they do these prototypes, or when they do sort of the test builds and stuff like that, they're always plastic. We never ever get the full die cast one. They never have the full die cast one. It's always plastic to show people what they can do and what happens and stuff like that. So when you look at the car on the advert, that is plastic. It's all plastic. So it's going to be different anyway. It does actually say in small writing, even on the advert, even in here, parts and colours of the build may change. So they sort of cover themselves with that. And yeah, that's it. But I did notice it, yeah. Dan Crime, I don't like the whole redesign parts mid-run, so which I should have had a finished product before they start selling them. As long as it takes to bring to market, they have time to work out the kinks. We've mentioned this many times on the channel. Now they get the parts like we do. So basically, when they advertise this and they do it, they say this is what we can actually do, and it's normally plastic. Then after they've done the test run or they've done all that, it then normally goes to the sort of producing parts for us to build. At that point, it's then when it gets all redefined and die cast pieces are made and stuff like that. And then once die cast pieces start being made, just like we do, they normally get their parts. I think it's normally 5 or 6 months before we actually receive them. What happens is they get their parts and they test them on the build as we're building it as well. So they're building it in die cast in real time with us, near enough. And it means that they can work out kinks as they go along. When they find that there is a kink, it gives them enough time to change it and to operate that into the production as well. So that is why we've got a change of windscreen mid-flight. Obviously, if they were building it, if they had built it fully in die cast, they would have found that out anyway. It's happened with the Millennium Falcon, it's happened with the Terminator, and it's happened with a lot of builds, including the Enterprise build. I'm just rattling off some ones, the DeLorean as well. So they find out parts need to be changed mid-run because they are building it near enough like we are, but they're sort of in front of us, if you know what I mean. And the reason they do that is because it's cost effective. So the company goes, we can build this tumbler, and so they produce a plastic version, and then it goes away, and then they add the die cast, because the die cast costs money. So if they did that first and it didn't sell very well, it means they've wasted money on the tooling. So basically the molds that create the die cast parts, they would have wasted money on because it wouldn't sell. So it's cost effective on why they do this. It's great that they've given us a great part. Like I said, in other builds, they have given us parts that we have attached to the cars or model, and then given us a replacement part where we've had to either take the part apart, the car, or the part apart to replace the bit that they've given us. So yeah, it just happens. It happens. It's good that they rectify it. Like I said, you wouldn't want to complete this build and then find out that this didn't retract properly or caught something, and we all said it was a bad design. So it's great that they've rectified their problem early on. Okay, I have gone on for 10 minutes now. Look, you've come here to see issue 89 being built, so let's get on with issue 89. And once again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. For starters, subscribe to my channel and to comment as well. I love it all. Thank you so much. So let's get on with issue 89. Okay, before we get going, we're going to grab a lot of bits. Now, this is the parts that we got, but we're going to grab this part that we did 2 issues ago. We're going to need the roof section and the front windshield, so you can see what's going to happen now. We're also going to need number 34 motor. So this motor here, number 34. We're also going to need 3 limiter switches. Well, 4 limiter switches, I should say. So we need 28, 27, 29, and 26. We'll go along as we're building it, which ones you need. But you'll need to grab all of this, because we are going to be placing this into here like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So let's take a little look and see what parts we get. So we get a runner, AM, WM, AFM, AMM. We get that little block, and we get whatever's in here as well. We're going to be using all of these parts. Die cast piece there. Okay, so there is quite a bit to do. We're actually doing something, which is great. We're not just you know, putting hinges on things like this. We're actually building something. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need AM screws. So let me go up like that. So we need AM screws. We need the front windshield. We need this section here, and we're just going to place this on here. We've got guide pins on here, remember, as well. So they need to go in like that, if we can. That's it. We're going to use AM screws. To attach the windshield on. You want this sort of nice and tight if you can. Okay, so that is like that. Okay, next we need our roof section, and we need we need 26, 28 and 29. So there's 28. There is 26 and 29. Okay, so let's move all these over here a second. So we're putting these limiter switches onto here. Let me just double check what we're doing. Okay, so the first one is 26. So we need to find 26. There it is. And 26 is going on this back section just here. So we need to flip it over, making sure it just sort of pokes through like that. And then we're going to use a WM screw. These are the little ones that attach the limiter switches in. All the big long ones. Oh. There we go. So there we go. There's the first one. Okay, so on the next bit, okay, we need to double, right, 29. So 28 is the first one. So 28 we're going to do first. So the 28 one goes in this one here. And once again, we're going to use one of these. So 28 into this first one. Put it in nice and tight. It sits in. Then we've got 29, which is going to sit on this one. And on this one, we want the switch facing the opposite way. So this is going to be a bit tricky because we need to bend the wires slightly on this. So this one's going to sit just in there. So like that. So the wires come over here. That's what we need to do. Hang on a sec. Need to unscrew these slightly just to allow the switches to move. Yep. Let me just loosen that a bit. Yep. Yeah, you want to be careful with and make sure that they actually flip right. Let me take this one out a minute. I just want to double check that one, because we are there we go. That's what we need them like. So when we screw these in, do not over screw them. Just literally as soon as they see that one's not meeting again, even though I haven't screwed it in very tight. I want it to spring back slightly. Okay, so that's that one. So just to recap, that is 26, that is 28, and that is 29 right there. And you want to make sure that they flick back like so. Okay, next what we're going to do, we're going to grab this right here, and we're going to grab this one, which is 27, this limiter switch. It is indeed. And this one is going to sit nope, like that. That's it, like that. Once again, it's got to sit in a way where right, okay, so bend this little wire at the section up, and these wires I think need to be bent up as well, because the only way of getting it in there is actually doing that, or actually bending it to the side slightly. I'm always worried when I have to do things like this, because of getting it in this small gap here. Now once again, we need one of these. Don't over screw it. It's all about just making sure it actually fits. And it's not. That is a bit of a pain. Okay. Yeah, it's not. It's not. Okay, stand by. Okay, so that is the best I could do on that one. Just making sure that it sort of flicks back. Really. There is a metal tab there. You need to push up this little metal tab. It needs to be pushed right up there. You see that little tab dish there? That needs to be pushed up. Okay, so that needs to go aside. Yeah, yeah, the wires. As you can see, the wires there are really bent sideways, if you know what I mean. So that needs to be sort of just spring like that. So that works. Okay, so we've got that bit. Okay, so the next bit, what we need to do is, okay, we need to grab this bit, making sure it's up like that, and then this needs to ride like that. It just needs to go on. So it slides like that. Next, what we're going to do is place this on. So I need to take off this wire here a minute. This electrical tape. Okay, so this is going to sit now I just need to make sure okay, so what we need to do is we need to put this, so one, the teeth meet, which they sort of do or don't. It's really weird. So here needs to push on. Now there is a little tab on this bit. There's a little tab just there poking out. That needs to be pushed against this here, the limiter switch. So it needs to sit like that. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to place this on here. So that's going to sit like that. Just like that. We're going to use AMM screws in there and in there. So that one in there. And then one in there. So that's all sitting like that. And that obviously rides up and down. Okay, so next what we need to do is to put our motor in, which is 34. So with this one, we need to pass the wire through here. Like so. And this needs to sit in like so. That sort of sits like that. Okay, so now we've got all this, we need to slide this all the way back to the very end. This is going to sit in like that, making sure it's sort of tabbed in a little bit. Then we're going to take AFM screws, 1, 2, and we're going to just screw the motor in place. Just here. So there's one. And there's the other. And it's finished. Now my only concern is it going to work very well? I think I might have to test this. So, yes, so this, obviously this will, just double checking everything here. Yeah, so that one's gonna retract it, and I think this one will pull it back. So I think what happens is this sits inside the cockpit, and that one there is the one that moves the thing in and out. We'll have a little look, we'll have a little play, but that is the end of this issue. And I've just got the window wipers just come off. That's not good, because now I can't access it without pulling it down. So I'm going to get the electrics. I'm going to give it a little try, because it's worth trying it out first. Okay, so let me grab all that. So full disclosure, I wired it all up and it wouldn't work. Now I'm wondering whether it's all got to be hooked up for it to be tested, or to see if it works. Or not. I did test the motors, so all the motors work, and I test the switches as well, and the switches work. I also tested the headlights, they work as well, and that keeps coming off. They all work as well, but when you push the cockpit button on the remote, it doesn't do anything. So I wonder whether it's all got to be connected for it to work properly, because some of this stuff is in the center column here, and obviously that these will only work once that mechanism is placed in there. So we might not be able to get it to work fully. Someone might be able to get it to work, but I can't. Like I said, at first I thought there might have been something isn't working right, one of the switches, but I was mistaken, because the actual switches all work. So I tried them out, and I tried out the motors, they all work. So everything does work, it just won't work that part. It doesn't tell us to do it. I always, you know, it's one of my golden rules to I've broken it already, which is don't do anything unless it tells you in the book. So it didn't tell us, so I haven't done anything, but that is what it should look like at this stage. So we do have wires pretty much everywhere, and this will obviously have to go on at some point. This part here does go, I think it goes into the center column, or very much around it anyway. So might sit like that, I'm not too sure, time will tell. But obviously I think what happens is this works in tandem with the roof going up, so it sort of, it folds up, goes up at the same time. I think it all works in tandem, and only works when all these are connected. Now, it was a while ago, and I mean a long time ago, when we tested all the wires and they all worked, so I don't see why they shouldn't work. And I remember with the limiter switches, they had to be pushed in certain ways and order for them to work. So like I said, we'll see. I just hope it does work, because if it doesn't, I will be upset, because in order for me to fix this, if it doesn't work, is I'll have to remove probably that cog there, for then this to slide in and out. I'm hoping that it works, but yeah, it's, as you can see, it doesn't want to do, I'm wondering if I can take that, if I can loosen that, I can probably show you actually how it all operates. So let me take this motor out a minute. Let me just, oh, let me put that screw down. I just want to show you what it actually does, and I want, and obviously all these all work with the limiter switches. So okay, there we go. So that folds out and down, as you can see, and then obviously it folds up. I'm wondering if this is a bit stiff. Let me loosen this, because I want that action to be a lot smoother. And then obviously once it goes up, you hit that limiter switch and that stops it. And then obviously it folds back down again, and that obviously stops it. So that's what it sits like. And then obviously once it's like that, and then let me see if I can pull it. Yes, okay. So it goes down and then sort of retracts. You see that? So that goes, so basically it goes up and then down. Like that. So down, up. So the mechanism actually works well. What we need to do is make sure that when we put this back, it hits that limiter switch. But that's what it's supposed to do. I think that goes in that way. Right. Let me like that. And that on there. Okay, so we sort of know now how it works. We just got to make sure it works on D-Day, which is yeah. Like I said, I did test all the, just to make sure, because I was a bit concerned that it didn't work. But like I said, I think it works in tandem with this one here, this wire, this motor, and obviously the motor that pushes it up and down. And I think all these limiter switches, I remember when we did the limiter switches, we had to push certain ones to make stuff stop and start, and we had to hold down to make ones. And some, like I said, some of the limiter switches are actually in here. And yeah, but apart from that, all the lights work and everything still works. So, but you can sort of see, I've just showed you there what it looks like when it comes out, which is pretty cool. So it sort of comes out and drops down, and then as it goes up, it sort of folds back up. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, okay, so I hope that explains everything. So yeah, I think it works in tandem. And I think why it's up, like why we leave it up like this, is it's on the limiter switches, so it's not going to break. But like I said, when I pushed the cockpit button, nothing happened when I wired all of this bit up. But we've got wires and other switches all over the place. So I think what happens is once it sort of works in tandem. Like I said, I remember when we first did all this, we had to push certain switches to make motors work in a certain order. And we also had to hold down 2 of them to make a motor work, and hold not, and yeah. So I think this actually works in tandem with other things when it's all wired up, obviously. But you can see, if there is a problem with this, literally I will just take out that motor and then do it manually. which I don't really want to do. But if I have to, then that's what I'm going to have to do. But anyway, that's my only concern. But like I said, I did check the switches for when for the left and the right. So I just put these switches into the part that does left and right on the steering and stuck the motors in, and they all worked. So they all work. They just don't work when it's connected onto here at the minute. So like I said, it's probably, they have to work in tandem. But we are getting somewhere. So we have got the, well, effectively we've got the windscreen and this roof, and we've got the other roof section as well. So we've basically got the whole roof and the side panels and the front of the car, and we're all just sort of got parts lying about everywhere. So that just needs to be put to a side now. So you want to know what's coming in issue 90. So in issue 90 we get all of that. Once again, there's not a lot in there. It says rack supports and engine cover there. I would imagine the engine cover, which is that, looks like a motor cover. So it looks like we're sticking in another motor somewhere. We've got the cog section here. So there's obviously something to do. Maybe it's to do with that centre column here. Because if I remember rightly, there is a little thingy down there. So that looks like that goes into there. So maybe, because, well, it actually does go into there. And you can tell because there's a little hole here which matches that bit there. So it looks like we're going to be working on this part here. And maybe we test it, I don't know. But like I said, there are wires here. There's other motors going on, and I'd like to test it to make sure it works before properly fitting it to the car. But anyway, that is what's in issue 90. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because you'll miss out on all the great content we've got here. We've got loads going on. Make sure you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment as well so I can discuss stuff with you next week. This video is a little bit longer than normal because we've had to do stuff, which is good in the long term. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. As always, we'll catch you at the next video. But until then, take it easy and we'll see you later.